Good evening, students. Today we are going to learn about the last topic of this lesson, that is nationalism and imperialism. So before starting this topic, we have to understand the meaning of nationalism and imperialism. So nationalism we have learned. In short, I will tell you, nationalism means the identification of its one country and to support its interest. On the other hand, imperialism is a policy of extending power or influence of one's country by the process of colonialism or the military force or the other means. Here you would have understood that nationalism focus on the national unification, means collective national unification, and imperialism focus on seizing the power in others' country. So in this sense, if you will see the nationalism in Europe or the nationalist movement in Europe, then by the last quarter of the 19th century, nationalism in Europe no longer retained its idealistic liberal democratic sentiment, but became a narrow creed with limited ends. During this time, nationalist groups in Europe became increasingly intolerable of each other and were ever ready to fight with each other. At the same time, the major power of the European country, they manipulated the nationalist sentiment of the people and they tried to promote their own imperialist aims. On this background, the most serious nationalist tensions emerged in the area called Balkan. So what was this Balkan? Balkan was an area comprising a variety of ethnic and cultural variations, comprising today's Bulgaria, Albania, Greece, Macedonia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Slovenia, Serbia and Herzegovina, whose most of the inhabitants were the Slavs. So these people, they had their different variations, means different culture and different traditions. The most part of this area was under the empire of Turkestan, means Turkish Empire, Ottoman Empire. So when the spread of nationalism, means romantic nationalism in Europe, along with the national unification, this area started one by one breaking away from its control and declaring the independence. So during near about throughout the 19th century, British Empire tried to consolidate its power, means tried to strengthen its power, but got very little success. So in these conditions, when they could not control their territories, these different nationalities claimed their independence or political rights on the nationality and used history to prove that once upon a time we were also independent nations and had been subjugated by this imperial power or the European powers. Hence, some religious people thought of the struggle to get their long lost independence back. So in this condition, now we will see what was the effect of this struggle. If you will see, as different nationalities were struggling to define their identity and independence, this Balkan region became very explosive. At the same time, these matters became worse when the Balkan region became the scene of very big power rivalry, because during that time there was an intense rivalry among the European powers over the matter of colonization and trade, as well as military and naval power. Each power, like Russia, Germany, Britain and Austro-Hungary, they were very keen on hold of other European powers on the Balkan region, as well as they wanted to extend their own control over the region. And because of these rivalries, this area or this Balkan region, a series of wars started and finally turned into the First World War. So this was the Balkan region or Balkan question. On this topic, you will have a question: what was Balkan region and how nationalist tension emerged in the Balkan? So I hope answer is clear to you. Question I am repeating again: what was Balkan region and how nationalist tension emerged in the Balkan? And on the next topic, I told you 2 paragraphs. So first paragraph, this question will be there, and the last paragraph question will be there. What conditions in the Balkan led to the World War First? Now the last topic and last point of this lesson is, what was the effect of the nationalist movement in Europe on the world history? So as I told you that in nationalism aligned with the imperialism led Europe to a disaster in 1914. Because you know that this time everybody was trying to get maximum territory in the Balkan region, which led to the First World War. But one thing happened, that all over the world, many countries who were colonized by the European power, they started opposing the imperialist domination. These nationalist struggles, we can say nationalist because they tried to form a nation states. They were inspired by the collective national unity and they were struggling against the imperialism. So here one thing is clear, that they wanted to create a nation state and they were inspired by this nationalist movement. But one thing again we have to remember here, that nationalism, means European nationalism, was not copied by any of the country. Each country, they developed their variety of own nationalism to fight against this imperial domination. Now, here one thing again I am clearing you, that nationalism in Europe was not copied, not intimated in any country. They tried to develop their own sort of nationalism. But one thing was developed, or one thing was accepted, that society should be organized into the nation state. This was accepted as a natural and universal. In one word I will tell you, that everybody wanted to make their own nation into the nation state. Means, in short you can say that European nationalist movement inspired the freedom struggles all over the world. So in this way, here this topic complete, and question will be, what was the impact of European nationalist movement on the world? I hope you are clear about the answer. Thank you.